If I had a problem, I'd be starving. I'd be hawking this watch. I do not have a problem. I enjoy gambling.
Yeah, well, not quite. Yeah, let's stick to football.
We are back, baby! Am I live? Hey, these are family matters right here.
Hey, is that a regulation-sized football or what?
Hey, I think that's a first down in my book. Am I live? Are we good? Are we live here? No, your people, my people. Hey, I'm glad they worked it out. We're here now, so let's fucking go. Hey, I'm pumped. You guys are doing a hell of a job here at the Round Robin Pod.
Some sort of like welcome to the pod.
Hey, there it is.
No. You gotta do something.
Yeah, we need an intro, dude. Fucking welcome to the pod. Recording in progress. Welcome back. What's up, jmac? How we
How's
doing?
it going?
All right. Round Robin pod. We're gonna do 4 pods this week. My biggest bet of the year is on the Thursday night football game tonight. And I think we should talk. And then we'll do a quick recap, and then we'll do our picks for next week, and then we'll do our booby prize picks spread out over 4 pods. So we have one go up tonight, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So we got to start with the Chiefs and so my preseason Super Bowl pick was the Chiefs and the 49ers. And we talked about the 49ers with how cheap Brock Purdy is and how talented their roster is. I thought they would have a really good shot at winning the NFC. And then I thought the Chiefs upgraded their offense enough that with everything else they had from last year, it was going to be kind of unfair. And that hasn't exactly been right. I would actually be willing to say I was wrong about both things. Technically, I think our thought was in the right place. But my favorite tweet I saw this week was the worst. What did he say? The shittier the Chiefs are, the more unstoppable they become. It's like, yeah. It's amazing. They're as fun to root for as any team that I can remember in a lot of, like, they're really fun. Like, they have the best player. They have a really good coach. They've got all this weird goofiness surrounding them with Taylor Swift, and people hate that for no reason. And everyone just says they stink every week. Now it's finally shifted where, like, I think we were early. We were like, oh, it's time to fade the Chiefs. Now it's time probably to fade the Chiefs, but we'll see. They just win every week, so I don't know. And then the 49ers, in theory, should be really good. I think it's time to change, though. Update our thoughts on them. I've always had this thing with Shanahan. He's always bugged me. And yeah, I just thought, oh, maybe you just don't like him. Like, he just comes across as like kind of like arrogant and shitty, and there's all those stats about him blowing games or losing games in the fourth quarter, or not being able to win games where he's ahead in the fourth quarter. But everybody seems to like him. So my thoughts on him were always like, he's awesome at preparation, and he's this amazing like offensive genius play caller. But I really think he's really bad at in-game adjustments. And so and then this quote came out this week. Nick Bosa, so I'll just read the quote. So Nick Bosa in the post-game press conference said, I think in all of our losses, the preparation we've had has been great, but the teams are playing us differently and doing things differently, and we're not able to adjust. They're showing us different looks than we're seeing on tape. And what I took from it was that they're preparing very well, like they always do, and they're coming in, because when the Rams came back and won that game, remember, we got on here and we talked about how fluky of a win that was. It was like the worst result of the season. But now that the Niners just did it again in a division game at home, the same exact thing happened. It's not a fluke. The Rams game's not a fluke to me anymore. This is like a problem that they're having. And then the other stat that I saw this week is that the most losses in the regular season and playoffs for a coach in 49ers history after leading a game by 10 or more points, Kyle Shanahan has done that 18 times. 18 times. And then there's that crazy stat about he's like 1 in a bajillion when they're losing heading into the fourth quarter. So, um, so that leads into my pick for tonight. But before we do that, well, yeah, that's actually the right. That's what. Well, what do you think? Let's do that. What do you think about uh the night? What do you like? Where are you at with the 49ers?
I'm way more inclined to buy low on the Niners. I still
Okay.
think they're like the most talented roster, getting healthy. To me, Brock Purdy still looks good. And then if they're figuring out things like what Nick Bosa said, then they need to make adjustments. And if they're now like, oh, okay, so now teams are playing us differently in game, they're going to have to prepare a little bit different, or they're going to have to make some sort of adjustments. So as long as they have recognized that and they take the proper measure to play, to combat that, I just think they have so much talent still. As long as they're healthy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm still more inclined to buy low on them like right now than I am to say they're done or their season's over or they're not a Super Bowl contender. So I think so. I'm not like I'm very middle. I'm not like extreme either way.
Sure.
Their season's not over, and I don't think they're definitely going to win the Super Bowl or anything like that.
Here's my take, because this is perfect. This is so awesome because I think we're going to get a pretty definitive answer to this question in like 3 hours. Because my opinion, I mean, I don't know how they can lose this game and win the division, right? Because
So that right there makes me really wary to bet against them tonight. Because if the 49ers in a must-win game, I guess that's not against Patrick Mahomes, they typically win.
sure, but here's my so what you just said, right? About buying low. That was my knee-jerk reaction to Sunday, looking ahead to this game. I went, okay, let me try and consider all the things for this Thursday night game. My first thing I wanted to look at was your handicap of Thursday night games that I've been looking at every Thursday. Which team benefits the most from having the least amount of preparation? I think it's kind of a wash. I think
Well, here, can I interrupt you really quick?
Yeah.
Brock Purdy is undefeated on Thursday Night Football, and Geno Smith has never won on Thursday Night Football. He's 0-6. Brock Purdy's 3-0. So I look at quarterbacks. That's mostly what I look at, like, because that's to me.
Yeah. So I've adopted your Thursday night handicap. You put it out as a quarterbacks related specific handicap. I've adopted it into the whole, encompassing of the whole game. Which team serves to benefit more from having less time to prepare? So my counter to the Geno versus Brock Purdy thing on Thursday is Geno Smith had a few of those games on some of the worst Jets teams of all time. And then the other downside of this for me is that the Niners have really owned the Seahawks. But part of my handicap for this spot is this new Seahawks team is a new Seahawks team because of this new coach, McDonald. But I'm really actually just purely fading the 49ers. Because my knee-jerk reaction to last week was, all right, the Niners still have a really talented roster, so what are we talking about? Like, they can't. But after considering that more, I actually think the more sharp and contrarian take. Now, I still have to be right about this, and it's a pretty bold take, but I think their season's over. I think the 49ers are done. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think this iteration of their team is dead. I think that they've had now so every year the team that loses the Super Bowl we get told they're going to have a hangover the next year. And now I think this has been a carryover of a carryover of a carryover of that. And they're in like a huge mega super hangover. And they blew the 2 games they absolutely had to win. And I think they lose tonight, and then everything falls apart for them. You have the Super Bowl hangover after the last 4 seasons. They never win the big game. You get really bad coaching late in games where Shanahan's not adjusting. They're blowing leads. They're never winning when they're behind heading into the fourth quarter. The Aiyuk fight over the extension where he then came back and he's now back. He hasn't been playing well and he ended up taking the original contract that they offered him. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's injured, who they didn't tell us was injured, and now he's like out for half of the season, going to Germany looking for answers on his Achilles. They started 2-3. The 2 games that they absolutely had to win, they're ahead by 10 and they blow them. Their next 7 games, they have the Seahawks tonight. They play the Chiefs next week, so it's a really kind of a weird look ahead spot for them too. Then they have the Cowboys, the Seahawks again. They play at the Bucs, the Packers, and the Bills. Like, their season's over. They split those games and they're 5-8. They have to go 5-0 to win 9 games, or 4-0 to finish the game 9-8, or finish the season 9-8. So, stop that. So obviously it's a bold prediction by me, and but I really think that if I'm right, we're going to get the answer here in a few hours, and the Seahawks are going to win this game, and it's my biggest bet of the year, so I kind of have to play it in the contest. I have a huge sweat on Seahawks plus 3.5 today. So I really hope I'm right, not only to save face for putting this on the internet and claiming that the 49ers are collapsing, but also because I really could use the money.
Financially really need this.
Yeah, I really need it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's definitely contrarian, which is usually a good thing. It's a pretty bizarre number, like, to lay that many points in Seattle for a team who may be collapsing. So,
and I told you yesterday, like, the final thing I needed to see for this game is my contrarian take starting to become something that's in the public narrative? Like, are the Seahawks a super public? Because I thought it was possible that I was being dumb and that the Seahawks would then be the public side in this game. If the Seahawks were the public side in this game, I would have backed off of it. But the Niners are a hugely public side. And so I just have to stick with what I'm saying. I'm terrified. I'm going to be like, my stomach's I'm going to have bubble guts the whole game. But so
I'm definitely worried about the injuries for the Seahawks. They haven't been good the last 2 weeks. They gave up 29 to the Giants, and they gave up 49 to the Lions, whatever it was.
Yeah, my counter to that would be, if you're comparing the 2 teams so far, like, losing to the Giants and the Lions is much better. And then being 3-2 with your 2 losses to the Giants and the Lions is much better than being 2-3 with your only losses being to the Jets and the Patriots, which the 49ers have. Yeah.
I think I would like this so much more if the Niners had just squeaked out a 1-point victory last week.
Yes.
And they were 3-2. Because a lot of it to me is the look ahead to the Chiefs. And that's the game they really are going to want to win. And
yes.
I think we'll probably bet the Niners, maybe. Especially if they look bad tonight, I think we'd bet the Chiefs next week. Or the Niners next week.
Yeah.
But now that they're 2-3, they really have to win this game now, going into the Chiefs. So I don't know how much they're going to be looking ahead, but it's an interesting spot. We'll know tonight.
I probably wouldn't handicap it necessarily as a look ahead spot. I would just say that because this game is for the division, and it's in Seattle, I wouldn't give the Niners an edge, a motivational edge. And then what I'm saying also, which this may not be right, and this is contrarian for sure, is that if you have 2 teams with equal motivation, then the team with more talent, better coaching, whatever, the team with the advantage should win or win and cover. But I'm saying that the Seahawks and the Niners are even teams, which the market hasn't priced it yet. So Seahawks plus 3.5 tonight on Thursday Night Football. I really hope I'm right. The other thing that we should do with this is, because I want to touch on a couple more teams from last week that lead into what I'll end up picking for on Sunday. So the Commanders and the Vikings are the two teams that have outperformed the pre-flop expectation for the season, right? So coming into the season, they were both expected to be bad. And then for the last 3 weeks, I've been picking against them, being like, they got to come back to earth. They got to come back to earth. They got to come back to earth. Now, I actually think it's like, all right, I actually think it's square now to really be fading them. I think it's now like, all right, they're actually just really good. Both teams are like really good. The Vikings being, in my opinion, significantly more trustworthy in the long haul, probably, as a team. So they put this on SportsCenter on Sunday. Just really quick, I'll just put this because
I saw that.
Finish my Vikings thing. So through 5 games since 1970, there have been 6 teams who have trailed for less than 4.5 minutes. All 5 of them have gone to the Super Bowl. The Vikings are the 6th. The 09 Saints won the Super Bowl. The 84 Dolphins lost. The 23 Niners lost. The 99 Rams won. And the 98 Broncos won. This Vikings team is now in elite company. And I think the Jets was the right side on Sunday in London. I think it was a letdown spot, but the Vikings were still just up 17-0 and winning the whole game. And Darnold was bad and they still figured out a way to win. But go ahead. You were going to say, I think something good about the Commanders, and I'm upgrading them a lot too. I like them too.
No, just like as the season goes, I think it gets more and more dependent on how good the quarterback is. So we'll see if continues, if he has any flops towards the end, because I really think Jaden is like elite already.
We definitely agree that Jaden Daniels is better than Sam Darnold. I definitely agree.
Yeah, so I'm way less sure about the Commanders' defense.
But yeah, I mean, dude, the Vikings have proven now through 5 weeks, they're the number 1 coaching staff in the NFL. You have Flores, who can just fuck with anyone with his disguised blitzes and whatever he's doing. Another part of my handicap that I actually think was right, it didn't really seem to fuck with Rodgers as much as it fucked with the younger guys. And then you have their head coach who seems awesome. He's like somehow a player's coach, but he's also comes from like the Shanahan tree. Like they have, in my opinion, unequivocally the number 1 coaching staff in the NFL with a great defense. And I like
better than the Chiefs.
No, you're right.
The Chiefs are the best.
I'll take the Chiefs. I'll take the Chiefs.
The Chiefs' defense this year is why they're so good.
Spagnuolo is unbelievable.
You give Mahomes this defense, how are they not going to win the Super Bowl? It's just what keeps with. He's not even playing good. No one's playing good on offense.
Yeah, I know.
It's insane.
It's unbelievable. The Chiefs are I'm telling you, they're somehow an underdog team that is fun to root for who's 5-0.
Who are playing horrible.
Yes.
They're like trying to lose games and still
it's the best.
The defense is too good.
I love them. Now, the last thing that I'll say for this segment, and then we'll cut this off and we'll move into the next pod. But the last thing I'll say from last week is I was in Cincinnati for the Bengals and Ravens game, and I would have never known without watching in person, because I don't go to football games a lot. I really like watching football on TV, but watching that game in person, number one, Jamar Chase is unbelievable, like unbelievable. Burrow they'll run plays where like half the game, basically, Burrow will just get to the line and see if Chase is going to have single coverage. So he'll either run a motion or figure out however they figure out what type of defense they're in. And if Chase is in single coverage, he'll run a comeback route or an out or a post or something, and he won't even look anywhere. It'll just be hike and then just stare at Jamar Chase and just like kind of lob it up. And Chase just like boxes the guy out and gets the ball. And then the other thing is Lamar Jackson is like unbelievable. Like unbelievable. He's Michael Vick, but better.
Way better. He's way better. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe how much of their like success was just like hey, everybody's kind of tired and out of it. Like, just snap the ball to Lamar and shotgun, and then just like everybody run around, and he'll figure it out.
Yeah, it was a Lamar game.
It's pretty unbelievable. So I watched the whole game. It was obviously very close. It obviously went to overtime. We obviously had the Bengals, which I think is the right side. But it was always going to be a coin flip, a tough spot in that division, playing against Lamar. That Bengals defense sucks. I also think their coach is bad. Like, I think he's legitimately bad. Running the ball 3 times in overtime was bad. Then they asked him about it after the game, and he blamed it on Burrow. He said Burrow checked out of a pass, and like, dude, shut up. Like, what are you doing? So, but the point is, I watched the teams walk off the field. It was 85 or 90 degrees. I sweat through my shirt standing in the stadium. These teams, I texted you too. I'm blindly fading both teams next week, no matter who they play. I didn't even know who they were playing. And so that will lead into like really physical overtime division game. I am absolutely betting against them on Sunday. I think it's letdown spots for both of them. And I feel bad for the Bengals, man, and for Bengals fans. Like, they should have won that game. I think the stats report came back and said it was Ravens by 4 or Ravens by 5, but I was there, and the Ravens defense looked very tired from the big get up game with the Bills. Now they squeak this one out. And so I'm going to be playing against those two next week. But it was incredible watching how, like, Lamar, whatever hate anyone wants to give Lamar, I'm so done with it. Him and Josh Allen are the two tied the best players in the NFL that are not Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Those are the guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably about there. I think Lamar might be even a little better, but
I mean, he's certainly a better athlete. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy.
Josh Allen doesn't run as much as he used to, and that's a huge part of his game. And
Yeah, and
Lamar can run on any play, and like anytime they need him to run, he can. And just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I also think you figured out a handicap with Lamar that's awesome is when we know the game's important to Lamar, which was one of the reasons I thought that playing the Bengals last week was kind of tricky, is he's gonna run in that game. So we'll cut that one there. And then I think we move into